Good afternoon. I'm going to call our regular council of June 13th to order. We have an agenda in front of us. Mr. Coleman, are there any additions or deletions?
Nothing from administration, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Looking for someone to move as presented. Councillor Wanchuk, all in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Adoption of our minutes from May 23rd, 2023. Looking for those to be. Thank you very much, Councillor Scobie. Errors, omissions, comments, or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. At 1:30, for every meeting, we have an opportunity from anybody in the public who'd like to address council on an item that's not on the agenda can do so. There is no one sitting in the gallery at this time, so I will not ask again, and we'll go on to 15-year service award.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to recognize Nicholas Moffat for 15 years with Leduc County. I thought about starting the presentation with listing the projects that he's worked on in those 15 years, but I realized that there isn't a project or a park in the county that he hasn't built or renovated in those 15 years. So thought I'd save us the time. We're very fortunate to have someone within the county who can plan the park, design the park, build the park, operate the park, jump on the equipment if he needs to, and do everything that's required from the policy to the operation. So we're very fortunate within the Leduc County, and I'm happy to recognize Nicholas for 15 years. That's the hard part.
Congratulations, Nicholas, on behalf of council, and we hope to have you for another 15.
I hope so.
Moving on to item 5A, which is Ms. Klamosko, 2024 budget guidelines.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I have a recommendation in front of you this afternoon to discuss and set some guidelines for our 2024 budget. So I will start with the background and some of the attachments to the report, and then I will come back to the recommendation in detail. So in the background, typically we have been doing this type of report for the last number of years. So in your package was an environmental scan that looks at some various factors that do have an impact on Leduc County operations and budget for your consideration. Then the second document is a budget guideline. So it just outlines a framework for the 2024 budget. And then finally a budget timeline. So it outlines the various key dates within 2023 where we bring various components of the budget for some preliminary discussions with council. So based on the environmental scan, administration recommends a 2% tax dollar budget increase over 2023. So with that, I will go into the environmental scan. My plan for this afternoon is not to go through it in its entirety, but rather to hit some of the highlights. However, if council has any questions on any of the content within the environmental scan, please feel free to jump in and ask me any questions that you may have. So typically the economic outlook is provided by the institution that we work with for our investment portfolio, which is CIBC Wood Gundy. So they provide some key highlights on the broader economic outlook. Then we go into the next section, which provides a summary of various federal, provincial, regional, and local variables and their related impacts to the county. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight within this section was on the provincial variables. We still are unclear on how the transition away from the MSI grant program to the local government fiscal framework, what that impact will be for us. It is unknown at this time what that funding formula will look like. So we are unable, I guess, to plan as more concretely than we would like to. We cannot plan that way right now because we have that uncertainty going into 2024. So that is one item that remains unclear to us at this point. Wanted to just highlight again the police funding regulation and police funding model. So that's been a new addition in the last number of years in terms of the contribution that municipal government makes towards police funding in the province. So our contribution for 2024 is anticipated to be the $1.62 million, which is a small increase from 2023. So just to highlight that in terms of our 2023 budget, that's a 3.17% effect of tax dollar budgets. So another continuing on to the next pages in the report, I wanted to highlight that the tax share agreement with the city of Leduc was renegotiated and signed by our councils and agreed to earlier in 2023. So we're happy to see that we now have an agreement in place that with time we will, as assessment builds at the airport, we will reach that split of 70% for Leduc County and 30% for the city of Leduc moving forward. So that was a highlight that was done in 2023. Going into local variables, as council has seen, we've had some significant cost escalations in terms of for equipment and for services for our operating and capital budgets. So again, we highlighted that as a consideration as we anticipate that these type of cost escalations are still happening, and that would be an impact in our 2024 budget. Moving on throughout the report, just wanted to highlight from collection of taxes at this point in time, just to provide an update as of today. We have collected 25.87% of taxes. However, when you incorporate the auto pay, so all of the rolls that are on our tax installment payment plan, we would anticipate right now as of this date that it would be 42.96% with all of what would be collected for the remainder of the year through the installment payment plan. So we still have a couple more weeks of tax collection to come. So payments do come in quite heavily in the last couple of weeks of June. So in the preliminary assessment projections, so you'll note that we are showing and projecting assessment increases and growth in all areas except for machinery and equipment. So this is very positive. The machinery and equipment, we are estimating a significant decrease, but that's being attributed due to the retirement of the drag lines at Capital Power. So overall, we are anticipating an assessment increase, which at this time, and again, this is very preliminary, that this projected increase would result in an increase in property tax revenue of approximately 2.3 million at our 2023 mill rates. The other assessment consideration that is still ongoing and has been for a number of years is the Capital Power assessment appeal. So there is a bullet point in the report that speaks to the appeal that was first filed back in 2017 is still outstanding. And we did provide a little bit of an outline of where that is at in the legal system. So that is still something that we are mindful of because there is a potential financial impact to us in the future should a decision be rendered that's in favor of that appeal.
Supreme Court that's their last shot at it, right? If once it goes through there, like they've gone through every step of the way, getting up there, fighting it. So this is their last resort, is it not?
That would be my understanding on this current appeal. I'm not sure if Mr. Coleman would have something to add.
So they still have the ability to actually appeal the physical assessment. At the current time, they're fighting over the minister's guidelines. And so once that decision is made, if the minister's guidelines hold,
I would assume that they won't proceed with an appeal. The foundation of their appeal would be based on the minister's guidelines being inaccurate or not interpreted properly. So I think if they lose this fight, I'm guessing they'll look at some sort of a discussion with the province, but they do still have grounds to appeal or process to appeal. Sorry.
All right, so then now if there's no questions on the environmental scan, I'll just move to the budget guidelines. Okay, so following similar format of what we've done in previous years, the budget package will include the following documents. So a corporate plan, department operational plans, an operating budget projection for 2025 to 2027, a long-range financial plan for 10 years, a major project plan, capital project plan, and new initiatives plan. The interim budget for 2024 will assume up to a 2% tax dollar increase over 2023. And it is proposed that the funding for the major project and capital project plans will be a minimum of $6 million in tax dollars, which is a $500,000 increase to what was in the budget guidelines for 2023. And the budget process would follow the 2024 Budget Council timeline. That is the next attachment in the package. So going to the next attachment is the timeline. So for June, we are here today to discuss budget guidelines with council and get your feedback into the guidelines you would like us to move forward with for 2024 budget. Then in July, there'll be the first discussion at Public Works Committee on the proposed road program. There'll be a second discussion in August. And then in October, we have a workshop put aside to discuss the major projects, capital projects, and new initiative plans with council on October 26th. And then in November, we will move forward with budget deliberations, and they are scheduled for November 27th, 28th, and 30th. So now going back to the first page of the package, we have a recommendation in front of council for your consideration. So we have, and they are to the guidelines that I spoke to in the attachment. And if council has any questions that I can answer, I would be happy to do so. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you for the thorough presentation. Any questions on any parts of the presentation? My question, Ms. Klamosko, is if we need more time for any of those discussions, will there be more opportunities at workshops for more discussion? Should it be needed?
Yes, we always endeavor to take council's questions and feedback, and we will adjust as needed if things come up that aren't anticipated.
Thank you. All right, if there's no more questions, look for someone to put the motion on the floor. Councillor Birdie, go ahead.
I recommend the council direct administration to follow the guidelines outlined below in the development of the 2024 budget. The budget will include the following documents: corporate plan, department operational plans, operating budget projections for 2025 to 2027, long-range financial plan for 2025 to 2034, major project plan, capital project plan, and new initiatives plan. The interim budget for 2024 will assume up to a 2% tax dollar increase over 2023. The funding for the major project and the capital project plans will be a minimum of $6 million in tax dollars, and the budget process will follow in 2023 Budget Council timeline.
Thank you very much. Ms. Klamosko?
Just one correction that I noted when I was reviewing the report for this afternoon, that final bullet should read 2024 Budget Council timeline.
Budget process will follow the 2024 Budget Council timeline. It is that time where we've just finished a budget and we're looking ahead already. So, okay. Any comments, questions, or debate on the motion? Seeing, oh, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment that with all of the headwinds that we face, plus inflationary pressures. A 2% tax increase, I think, is extremely reasonable to probably not completely cover off some of the extra costs that we have, but continue to offer the services that our residents and businesses have come to expect.
All right, I'm seeing no more hands. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
1:45, so I'll ask Mr. Evans and Ms. Johnson to come forward and we'll start the first public hearing. So call our public hearing to order at 1:45. And the topic of our public hearing today is bylaw number 1323 to repeal and replace Leduc County Town of Thorsby intermunicipal development plan, and bylaw 1423 repeal bylaw 1919, the ICF between Leduc County and the town of Thorsby. And council is here to listen to the information being presented and make a decision on the matter of the hearing. This is a formal hearing and not a debate, and everyone wishing to speak who has pre-registered will be given an opportunity to speak once to the matter is called on by myself. Each presenter will state his or her own full name, address, and interest in the matter, whether they are in support or non-support. And those who do not identify themselves will not be given an opportunity to speak. Presenters are asked to stay within a 5-minute limit and are encouraged when speaking to keep the presentation to the point and refrain from restating points raised by previous speakers if possible. If new presentation materials are provided, you may be required to email a copy to our legislative coordinator. So I will now ask Mr. Evans and Ms. Johnson to introduce the topic of the hearing.
So good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. Leduc County and the town of Thorsby work collaboratively with input from the community to prepare an intermunicipal development plan and an intermunicipal collaboration framework in 2019. In keeping with the policies in the IDP and ICF to review these documents every 4 years to ensure they remain current, the Joint Intermunicipal Liaison Committee reviewed and endorsed minor revisions, primarily housekeeping in nature, for Council's consideration. On April 25th, 2023, the Town of Thorsby Council gave first reading to their bylaw to repeal and replace the Leduc County Town of Thorsby IDP and to repeal the ICF. Leduc County Council gave first reading to bylaw 1323 to repeal and replace Leduc County Town of Thorsby IDP and to bylaw 1423 to repeal the ICF on April 25th as well. In accordance with the Municipal Government Act, prior to second reading, council must hold a public hearing. The public hearing was advertised in the local paper, both Leduc Rep and Connect 39, in accordance with the Leduc County policy and in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Government Act. Bylaw number 13-23, the bylaw to repeal and replace the IDP, and bylaw number 1423, the bylaw to repeal the ICF, were made available on the county's website. No written or oral responses to this notice of public hearing have been received. Subject to input at the public hearing, administration recommends council give second and third reading to bylaw 1323 to repeal and replace the IDP and to bylaw 1423 to repeal the ICF between Leduc County and town of Thorsby. Pending second and third reading of the bylaw to repeal bylaw 1919, the ICF between Leduc County and the town of Thorsby, administration recommends council approve the updated ICF between Leduc County and the town of Thorsby by resolution to streamline future reviews. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Coleman, have we received any other information since the printing of the package?
Nothing received, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We have no speakers registered, and I believe there are no speakers currently in county chambers. Any questions from our council on the bylaws? I am seeing none. You don't need to close. I don't think you have closing remarks.
No
So
closing
with that,
remarks.
I will close our public hearing at 1:49 and open up for discussion and debate or someone to put second reading on the floor. If you just,
I will move second reading, I believe is a bylaw number 1323.
Second reading of bylaw 1323 is on the floor. Any questions? All in favor? Unanimous. Looking for a third reading. Councillor Balazer, thank you very much. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, so our second bylaw that we're looking at during this public hearing is bylaw 1423, second and third readings to repeal ICF with Thorsby, bylaw 1919. Councillor Lewis,
I'd be happy to do second reading.
second reading on bylaw 1919. All in favor? Looking for third reading for bylaw 1919. Thank you very much, Councillor Scobie. And just a note that this doesn't mean we're not going to continue to work collaboratively with the town of Thorsby like we have in the future. Prior to doing ICFs, we'll continue to work with them closely because ICFs are no longer required. So with that, all in favor? That is unanimous. Do we have one more? Just going back to my front page, which is, no, is that it?
No, Madam Chair, there's one more motion. So at the very end of your package is the updated ICF. And so we'd look to, for council for a motion to approve that. The difference is the other ICF was by bylaw, and for streamlining future reviews, it's best to do it by resolution so you don't have to do the public hearing process.
So I will, I'll put my name to that, I will approve the updated intermunicipal collaborative framework between Leduc County and the town of Thorsby. Just like that. Comments or questions? And again, by doing by resolution, it makes us easier for us to adapt and make changes if we have to. All in favor? That is unanimous.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to check back and make sure that we got third reading on both of those bylaws. Did we get third reading? Yes.
I believe we did. We had Councillor Smith and pardon? Yeah, yeah. Did we, Ms. Gavin? Yes.
Yeah, no sense.
My apologies. Yeah.
No, it's better to be sure and not leave that undone. So we appreciate that. Okay, so I have a 2 o'clock public hearing that I cannot start yet. Is Weiss here for tax sale date? She was. Oh. Mr. Honesty. So we're going to go to 7B1. Which is Recreation and Library Cost Sharing Agreement, Village of Warburg 2022 final payment. The floor is yours.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is our annual cost share presentation. Our partners have submitted their 2023 budgets. I have reviewed those budgets and am making a recommendation today to support a budget payment. And just for clarification, we make a budget payment before July 1st and then make a final payment the following year once we have their audited information. So we have received the year-end financials from the Village of Warburg for 2022, and they are consistent with what we had previously budgeted and supported and identified for them. Some savings just to some staffing vacancies and some under budget in a few operating expenses with the village. Overall, we're happy with our partnership with the village, and I am recommending our final payment of $43,134 to the Village of Warburg.
Thank you very much. Comments, questions? Councillor Smith?
Can you clarify the cost share percentage for Leduc County and the percentage for the Village of Warburg?
Our contribution is 74%, and that is based on a previous council motion to have it at 74%.
So thank you for that. And again, one of the ways that we efficiently and effectively provide recreation activities for all of our residents across the county is through cost shares with villages, towns, and cities. It's a great example, I think, to other municipalities about how the work can be done. And so this is a good news story. It looks like a lot of money, but when you consider all the children that are playing hockey and taking activities there, it's a small investment in our future. Looking for someone to move the recommendation, Councillor Balazer.
Move the recommendation that council accept 2022 audited statement from the village of Warburg for the cost share recreation.
That was just a run through.
Okay, I'll start that over. Council accept the 2022 audited statement from the village of Warburg for cost share recreation and library services. Number 2, council forward a final payment for the 2022 recreation and library cost share in the amount of $43,134 to the village of Warburg.
Thank you for that. The motion is on the floor. Comments, questions, or debate? I am seeing none, so I will call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous. Moving on, Mr. Honesty, your next report, please. And I believe that's the Town of Kalmar Recreation and Library Cost Share Agreements.
Village of Warburg 2023
Sorry,
budget.
thank you.
Thank you. Similar process, obviously, this is their 2023 budget, so we will make a budgetary payment here on July 1st. The budget they have presented is consistent with some minor increases just for operating costs for the arena, the library, and to the community curling rink that we support. There is one small capital item, which is an air conditioning for the library. That has been on the books for a few years now, and we just continue to carry it forward until they are able to complete that project. So previously we had supported that project in support of the library. So our budget payment for 2023 would be $91,267.
Thank you for that. And again, it does say that it's 74% for the cost share. All right, looking for someone to, if there's no questions, someone to put the motion on the floor. Councillor Scobie, go ahead. Could you put your microphone on, sir?
Would be a good idea too. I recommend, or move the recommendation that council approve the 2023 budget from the village of Warburg for cost share, recreation, and library services. And 2, the council forward a budget payment for the 2023 recreation and library cost share in the amount of $91,267 to the village of Warburg.
Hey, thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. Let's move on to 7B3, Town of Kalmar Recreation and Library Cost Sharing Agreement 2022 final payment.
Thank you. I wanted to clarify a few things and explain a few things with this recommendation. This time last year, council didn't support the budget they had submitted. There were some inconsistencies with how they allocated within their budget. The total amount was as anticipated, but we had some work to do to clarify some questions we had with the town. Since then, I've worked closely with the town. I've also met with their auditor to get some clarifications, and they followed through with their audit as budgeted and provided me with the explanations of where those inconsistencies were. So what I've done for council is provided that in my summary, where we could see their 2021 budget, their 2022, and just understand that we worked closely with the town to get back on track for 2023. They had some changeover in their administrations, but they are working closely with us and being very transparent with their financial information. So I'm comfortable to bring this forward to council, understanding that our total amount and our contribution is as we had anticipated, even though the line items are inconsistent with previous years. So our total cost shareable amount and our budgetary payment for 2022 would be $167,200.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of council, thank you for your diligent work on that to get confidence in the numbers that you were provided so that we could move forward. I will put the motion on the floor. First, that council accept the 2022 audited statement from the town of Kalmar for cost shared recreation and library services. And number two, council forwards a final payment for the 2022 recreation and library cost share in the amount of $167,200 to the town of Kalmar. And we are open for questions and debate. Councillor Smith. A microphone, please.
Just for clarification on the recommendation, it says we approve the 2023 budget and the motion before us says we're accepting the audited statement. Just what are we doing?
This item is the 2022 item, not the 2023 is next.
Okay, so I'm
This is the
ahead. Sorry.
2022
Yes,
audited,
they're come in tandem, correct?
correct.
Correct.
Two separate items, but same municipality, correct.
I'm seeing no comments or questions. And again, thank you for your diligent work to ensure that the money and the numbers presented were acceptable to Leduc County. All in favor? That is unanimous. All right, Mr. Coleman.
2023.
Should we finish this or go to our public hearing?
Madam Chair, I think it's appropriate to finish.
Okay.
You can never start early, but you can always start late.
We start, yeah, yes, okay. On to 7B 4, which is the Town of Kalmar Recreation Cost Share 2023 budget.
Thank you. This is the 2023 budget. As you can see, we've made those adjustments with the town. They're budgeting more appropriately as we had anticipated. We do have increases to the programs budget. That is a commitment and an increased service level from them towards programs and activities within the community. So that is a slight change as well. We're still working with them, but the community program center budget is currently allocated up into programs, but they've clarified that with me, and I do understand those costs. And the community program center is a facility that we fund within the cost share. There is one mower replacement as part of the capital program that has been adjusted to reflect acreage. What acreage is within the cost share is if the full amount of the mower is used for athletic fields that we support, and also within parks, we only pay a percentage of a percentage. So our contribution to that mower would be $20,000 based on that formula. So our total budget for 2023 would be $390,849, and we would provide a budget payment of $195,425 for July 1st.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Honesty on the Town of Kalmar Recreation Cost Share 2023 budget payment? I am seeing no hands. Looking for someone to make a motion. Councillor Balazer, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation number one, that council approve the 2023 budget from the town of Kalmar for cost shared recreation and library services. Number two, that council forward a budget payment for the 2023 recreation and library cost share in the amount of $195,425 to the town of Kalmar.
Thank you. Motion is on the floor. Comments, questions, or debate? I am seeing none. All in favor? It is unanimous. Mr. Honesty, do you want to finish your good deeds?
Yeah, if you wish.
Last two, we might as well, and then we can get back to work.
And I'll ask Andrea to join me for those two if we.
So 7B5, Luma Good Deed Association special funding request.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me today. This first request is for the Luma Good Deed Association. So they are requesting some funding to help them out with a operating contingency reserve for their 2023 internal savings. So they're requesting $10,000 to go towards a project that they've been working on for the past few years here. One of the reasons they're requesting some funding is because since COVID, the cost of materials and goods as well as services has gone up. So their original grant does not cover their project anymore. The Luma Good Deed Association is in good standings with the county. They do several programs and events, and they are quite active as a whole, and they do a really good job of maintaining their reserve for planned maintenance as well as some of the unexpected things. So the request today is for $10,000 for the Luma Good Deed Association.
And if I can just add to that, they have identified that they have sufficient reserves to pay for the project, But obviously, our goal is to make sure they maintain a reserve, and that's why we're recommending a contribution of $10,000, which allows them to still have a reserve for unexpected expenses for the hall.
Okay, comments or questions?
The project is for furnace and hot water tank repair or replacement. Is that correct?
Correct. And some of the unexpected costs came to them being compliant with code as well. So that was unanticipated with their first request, but they obviously wanted to be compliant and make sure they addressed any code requirements. So that added some cost to their project.
Follow up, Mayor. Again, I would be supporting the project today. I know it is an active hall. It is a very active group of seniors that keep the hall in really great shape. And every year they do look at upgrades. I know they have pancake breakfasts, quilting clubs, fundraiser for Red Cross, as well as music nights. And the county does activities out of it. So it is one of our halls that is still functioning with a group of older people that do a great job. And I would be prepared to move the recommendation that council approve a grant of $10,000 to the Luma Good Deed Association to be funded from the operating stabilization and contingency reserve or a 2023 internal savings.
Thank you, Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. I will support the motion, knowing how important community halls and their functioning and being up to date on what they need to keep the place warm and cool in all temperatures is very important. So I will support this today.
Thank you. Just a question. So does the Luma Good Deed Association receive the operating and capital money as well? So this is a need on top of that. Is that correct?
Correct. We consider this to be a special project, something greater than a oven or a small item.
Okay.
So we would look to support. And part of this was obviously them also getting that CFEP matching, which is sort of a requirement of ours as well.
Okay.
Originally, they didn't intend to need Leduc County support for the project, but when things changed is when they asked us for some contribution.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm seeing no more questions. The motion is on the floor to approve. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. One more funding request, 7B6, Sunnybrook Athletic Association 100th anniversary funding.
Yeah, this year seems to be the year of milestone anniversaries for county halls and associations, and Sunnybrook is no stranger to this. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary. So this is a large one for them, and they're looking for some funding to help them celebrate with the community. So they're looking for a $3,000 grant to put towards this this event that they're hosting. We're also working with them in terms of resources as well. So providing them with some extra stuff to continue to keep that cost low. They have a new board. They're looking to sort of revitalize what's happening in the region and at the hall. And so we'd like to support them in their endeavor to continue having the hall open to the residents and the region.
Okay, thank you. And it's always good to have something to celebrate, and 100 years is a long time to be an operating organization. Okay, looking for someone to put a motion on the floor.
I'll move the recommendation. I'm on part of the committee that is involved in this 100th anniversary, and it's going to be a pretty big deal. We've got a nice supper planned. Again, it's talking your pig roast, and and there's going to be some music and presentations and supposedly a parade and a car show. And so there's a lot planned there. So this funding would really help. So I'm going to move the recommendation that council approve a grant of $3,000 to the Sunnybrook Athletic Association to be funded from the operating stabilization and contingency reserve or 2023 internal savings.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the floor. Councillor Smith?
Again, this is a great idea, and we do need to be supportive of the groups in the county that are bringing forward events and recognition of our history, which is part of our strategic plan. So again, money well spent to help this celebration and Sunnybrook.
Thank you. Councillor Scobie?
Yeah, I too definitely in favor of this. Years ago, I worked with building onto that hall and did a lot of work there over the years. Great to see them having this 100th anniversary. It's too bad they didn't do it a week earlier so I could be there, but I guess I can't have it all. But no, it's a great idea. I'm glad to see new people come in there and get this all wound up again, and hopefully it's there for a long, long time yet.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more hands, going to call a question. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to go back to our second public hearing. So we're going to go to 6B, which is second public hearing. I will call our public hearing to order at 2:10. Council is here. The public hearing is to look at bylaw 1123 to repeal and replace Leduc County Town of Kalmar IDP plan, and bylaw 1223 to repeal bylaw 2019, the ICF between Leduc County and the Town of Kalmar. This is a formal, we're here to listen to the information presented, and it is a formal hearing and not a debate. Everyone wishing to speak who's pre-registered will be given an opportunity to speak first. Each presenter must state their full name, address, and interest, and whether in support or not. People not providing their identity will not be given an opportunity to speak. Presenters are asked to stay within 5-minute time limit and encouraged when speaking to keep the presentation to the point and refrain from restating points raised by other speakers if possible. If new information is provided, you'll be asked to email a copy to our legislative coordinator. And with that, I will call on Mr. Evans and Ms. Johnson to begin the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. In 2019, Leduc County and the Town of Kalmar worked collaboratively. I'm struggling with that word. I don't know why. With input from the community to prepare an intermunicipal development plan and an intermunicipal collaboration framework. In keeping with the policies of the IDP and the ICF to review these documents every 4 years, the Joint Intermunicipal Liaison Committee reviewed and endorsed minor revisions, primarily housekeeping in nature, for council's consideration. On May the 1st, 2023, the Town of Kalmar Council gave first reading to their bylaw to repeal and replace the Leduc County Town of Kalmar IDP and repeal the intermunicipal collaboration framework. Leduc County gave first reading to bylaw 11-23 to repeal and replace the IDP and gave first reading to bylaw 12-23 to repeal the ICF. In accordance with the Municipal Government Act, council must hold a public hearing prior to second reading. The public hearing was advertised in the local paper, the Leduc Rep and Connect 39, in accordance with Leduc County policy and in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Government Act. Bylaw 11-23, the bylaw to repeal and replace the IDP, and bylaw 12-23, the bylaw to repeal the ICF between Leduc County and Town of Kalmar were made available on Leduc County's website. To date, no written or oral responses to the notice of public hearing have been received. Subject to input received at the public hearing, administration recommends council give second and third reading to bylaw 11-23 to repeal and replace the Leduc County Town of Kalmar IDP, and to bylaw 12-23 to repeal bylaw 2019 known as the ICF between the Leduc County and Town of Kalmar. Pending second and third reading of bylaw 12-23 to repeal bylaw 20-19, the ICF between Leduc County and the Town of Kalmar, administration recommends council approve the updated ICF located at the back of your package between Leduc County and the Town of Kalmar by resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Coleman, any relevant correspondence since the printing of the report?
Nothing from administration, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone, we have no one in the gallery that I assume is going to speak to this. Any comments or questions from council? I am seeing none, so I will close the public hearing at 2:14 and look for debate and or someone to put the second reading of bylaw 11-23 on the table. Councillor Lewis.
We've gone through these a number of times and read them thoroughly and understand them all. I'd be happy to put second reading on this floor.
So second reading of bylaw 11-23 is on the floor to repeal and replace the IDP between Leduc County and the Town of Kalmar. All in favor? That is unanimous. Looking for someone to do third reading. Councillor Smith. Third reading of bylaw 1123. Any further comments or questions? And again, thank you for your comments. Councillor Lewis, this is very familiar to the county, to council. We've been working on it for a while. All in favor? That is unanimous. Looking for second reading on bylaw 1223, which is to repeal bylaw 2019, the ICF between Leduc County and the town of Kelmar. I will move that. And again, we will continue to work collaboratively with the town of Kelmar, and we can do that without the framework. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Unanimous. Third reading on bylaw 1223. Councillor Wanchuk, thank you very much. All in favor? Unanimous. Looking for someone to move that we approve by resolution the updated intermunicipal collaboration framework between Leduc County and the town of Kelmar. Councillor Scobie will move that. Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And thank you to administration. It looked pretty easy from our side, but there was a lot of work that was put into it and a lot of meetings, and we appreciate that on behalf of ourselves and our neighboring communities.
Thank you.
With that, we are going to sneak up to find Ms. Wiese's, which is 7A1, which is establishing the 2023 tax sale date.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. So yes, I'm here today to establish the 2023 tax sale date. Each year administration in accordance with the MGA follows a process to offer parcels of land shown on its tax arrears list for sale at a public auction if the arrears are not paid. So to date, some of the processes that we've done, actually this year we did an advance letter in February prior to the May letter that we sent out. We had really great success. We received 62 payments after we sent the pre-letter. And so that decreased our percentage of tax notifications that were placed by 57%. So in 2022, we placed 61 tax notifications, and in 2023, we placed 35. So a significant difference by sending one extra letter. So that was an advance letter that was sent in February. Then on March 31st, as I indicated, 35 tax notifications were placed in 2023. The next step of the process, I'm sorry, I got a little excited about 2023's success. In 2022, we had placed the tax notifications. These are the properties that are now going to tax sale for 2023. So those arrears from last year's, those who are not paid yet to date, they will be offered up for, the parcel will be offered for sale at a public auction. So the next step in that process is that we establish a tax sale date, and we are recommending that that date be November 1st, Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at 10 a.m. in County Centre.
Thank you very much for your report and great news on the additional letter and the response back. That's good news and working hard for our tax dollars. Any questions on the report? Looking for someone to make the motion to move the tax sale date. Councillor Lewis.
Read it.
Yes, please.
Recommendation that council establishes the tax sale date for Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at 10 a.m. at County Centre.
Thank you very much. Pretty much an operational report. We do it every year. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Weiss. And looking for someone to move us into our in-camera session. Councillor Wanchuk, all in favor? That is unanimous, and we will take a 3-minute break until we. He lives in Shores Park. He used to live in Melbourne. Better go to nice little condo, just said, with like, because they get a house that's smaller. Got a gate on it because he's an elitist, I guess. Oh, wait, so do I. Thank you very much. The only motion we made in camera was to come out of camera, and that was done by Councillor Balazer. We had a discussion at that time, so we have no motion coming out of that now. And I will be adjourning our meeting at 2:37. Thank you for joining us.